Hi everyone, here's how my ex-boss and his brilliant management team tried to exploit me and ended up handing me the perfect revenge on a silver platter. Petty? Quite a lot. In my country, this is rarely done. A few years ago, I F35 worked as a SEO copywriter and SSM for a well-known Italian company. I spoke and reported directly to Big Boss, General Manager, and Mini Boss. When they hired me, they forced me to open a VAT number Partita IV and work as a freelancer. In reality, I worked exclusively for them, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just like a full-time employee. This is not exactly fair. I told them, they said, not worry, you will find more connections through us. Never occurred. I did my job impeccably, always on time, never missed a deadline, and received plenty of praise from management and customers via emails and messages. The twist? The mini boss's girlfriend and the big boss's mistress, yes, both on payroll, were hopeless at their jobs. They made mistakes, dumped their work on others, and only survived thanks to their connections. I didn't hide my opinion, especially when their mistakes meant more work for everyone else. After 7 months, out of nowhere, the mini boss tells me in person, no written notice, which is illegal, your services are no longer required. I asked to speak with Big Boss too. Request denied. I just smiled and said to Mini Boss, this isn't over. He looked nervous and asked, are you threatening the company? I replied, threats are for people who aren't sure they'll win. I'm making a promise. It's just a matter of time. With my lawyer, I started legal action for wrongful termination and labor law violations. Here's where it gets delicious. The big boss, in his infinite wisdom, replied to my lawyer's official communication with a long, angry email full of insults and personal attacks. Thank you for the extra evidence, genius. After a year, because Italian bureaucracy is slow as hell, I delivered a 200-page dossier of evidence, chats, emails, communications, invoices, photos, everything. Less than a week after my lawyer filed it, in the middle of Christmas holidays, their own lawyer contacted me, practically begging me to name a settlement amount so they could avoid going to trial. With my lawyer, I asked for a 5-figure sum. They accepted without a single complaint. On the day of the settlement hearing, the judge actually congratulated me and my lawyer for how thoroughly we documented everything. She then turned to my ex-boss and gave him a stern warning about his appalling conduct, adding, we're honestly tired of seeing your name in court. Looks like a leopard really doesn't change its spots. It all started on a crisp autumn morning in Milan when I walked into the sleek offices of this supposedly prestigious Italian marketing firm. I was 32 at the time, fresh from a string of freelance gigs and excited about what seemed like a stable opportunity. The interview had gone smoothly. Big Boss, a burly man in his 50s with a perpetual scowl, and Mini Boss, his slimy right-hand man, praised my portfolio of SEO copywriting and social media management work. They talked about the company's growth, their high-profile clients, and how I'd fit right in. But then came the catch. Instead of offering a standard employment contract, they insisted I open a Partita IVA, essentially forcing me into freelancer status. It's better for taxes, Big Boss grumbled, waving off my concerns, and don't worry, you'll network through us and get tons of side gigs. I hesitated, knowing this setup smelled fishy under Italian labor laws, but I needed the work. Bills don't pay themselves, right? So I complied, spending a day at the revenue agency sorting out the paperwork. From day one, my routine mimicked a full-time employee's, clocking in at 9 a.m. sharp, sitting at a designated desk in their open plan office, attending mandatory team meetings, and reporting directly to the bosses. No flexibility, no other clients allowed, exclusively theirs, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The promises of connections, they never materialized. I'd ask about introductions to other firms, and Mini Boss would dodge with excuses like, we're swamped right now. Meanwhile, I threw myself into the role, crafting optimized content for their websites, managing social campaigns that boosted engagement by 30% in the first quarter alone. Emails flooded in from clients raving about my posts, and even Big Boss sent a rare good job message once. It felt validating, but the undercurrents were brewing. The office buzzed with favoritism. Mini boss's girlfriend, let's call her Elena, was hired as a graphic designer despite her designs looking like they were made in MS Paint. Big boss's mistress, Sophia, handled client relations but constantly botched emails and deadlines. They'd saunter in late, take long lunches, and offload their messes onto the rest of us. I kept my head down at first, fixing their errors quietly, but as the months ticked by, the resentment built. One day, Elena's botched ad campaign led to a client complaint, and I had to rewrite everything overnight. I started voicing my frustrations in meetings, politely at first. If we could ensure quality checks, it would save time for everyone. The bosses nodded, but nothing changed. Praise kept coming my way. Customers messaged me directly, thanking me for turning their online presence around, yet the inequality gnawed at me. Why was I slaving away as a pseudo-freelancer while these two coasted on personal ties? Little did I know, my honesty would seal my fate, but also pave the way for sweet justice. As the weeks turned into months, my daily grind at the company became a masterclass in corporate dysfunction. I'd arrive early, coffee in hand, ready to dive into keyword research and content calendars. My desk overlooked the bustling Milan streets, a small consolation amid the chaos. Big Boss would bark orders from his glass-walled office, while Mini Boss hovered like a shadow, micromanaging every post I scheduled. Despite the freelancer label, I had no autonomy. Every piece of copy needed their approval, and I was tied to their schedule like any employee. The exploitation was subtle but constant. No paid holidays, no benefits, just invoices I submitted monthly for my fixed fee. They dangled those networking promises like carrots, but whenever I pressed, Big Boss would say, "Patience, we're building something big here." Yeah, right. My work shone through though. I optimized their blog to rank on Google's first page for key terms, leading to a spike in traffic. Clients emailed effusively, "Your writing captured our brand perfectly." Management echoed the sentiment in team chats, with Mini Boss once forwarding a customer's praise with a thumbs up emoji. It fueled me, but the dark side loomed larger. Elena and Sophia were the office's open secrets. Elena, with her perfectly manicured nails and zero design skills, would submit graphics riddled with typos and clashing colors. Sophia, always in designer outfits, fumbled mixing up names and details. Their mistakes rippled outward. Once Sophia's email blunder offended a major client, forcing me to spend hours on damage control. They'd dump unfinished tasks on colleagues, batting eyelashes at the bosses to avoid repercussions. I couldn't stay silent forever. In one meeting, after Elena's latest flop caused a deadline scramble, I spoke up. "These errors are costing us efficiency. Maybe we need better training or accountability." The room went quiet. Big Boss cleared his throat, muttering about team spirit, but his eyes narrowed. Mini Boss shot me a glare. From then on, the atmosphere shifted. Whispers in the break room suggested I was trouble, yet my performance remained flawless, never a missed deadline, always proactive. Customers continued singing my praises via direct messages, and I saved every one, unknowingly building my arsenal. The boss's favoritism grew blatant. Elena got a bonus for a project I salvaged. Sophia attended exclusive events on company dime. I confided in a coworker over lunch, "This isn't fair, we're carrying them." She nodded but warned me to watch my back. Tension simmered, my opinions no longer hidden. I'd email suggestions for improvements, subtly pointing out their lapses. It felt right, but I sensed the storm brewing. 7 months in, the axe fell unexpectedly, setting the stage for my calculated comeback. The build-up to my ousting was a slow burn of passive aggression and pointed silences. By month 5, I'd become the go-to fixer for Elena and Sophia's messes. One week, Sophia's mishandled social post went viral for the wrong reasons, offensive phrasing that sparked backlash. I spent a weekend crafting apologies and rebranding content, all while invoicing as a freelancer with no overtime pay. In the next team huddle, I didn't mince words. "We can't afford these slip-ups. It's affecting our reputation." Big Boss grunted agreement, but later pulled Mini Boss aside, their whispers echoing. Elena smirked from her desk, typing away on what I suspected was personal shopping. My impeccable track record protected me temporarily. Praise emails from clients piled up, like one from a luxury brand. Your SEO magic doubled our leads. I archived them meticulously, a habit from past gigs, but the boss's resentment festered. Mini boss started nitpicking my work, demanding revisions on flawless pieces. Make it punchier, he'd say, though it was already optimized. Sophia would accidentally exclude me from client loops, forcing me to chase details. I pushed back in emails to avoid future issues. Let's clarify roles. Copies went to Big Boss, who ignored them. The office vibe turned toxic. Co-workers avoided eye contact, sensing the favoritism shield around the girlfriends. One evening, after correcting Elena's ad copy for the third time, I vented in a private chat with a trusted colleague. They're hopeless, surviving on connections alone. Word must have gotten back, because the next day, Mini Boss's demeanor iced over. Still, I delivered. Social metrics soared, deadlines met without fail, customers messaged personally, "You're the reason we stay." I saved screenshots, building a digital trail without realizing its future value. The climax hit on a rainy Friday. Mini Boss called me into a side room. No formal meeting, just him leaning against a desk. "Your services are no longer required," he said flatly, avoiding my eyes. No notice, no explanation. Illegal as hell for what was essentially employment. Stunned, I demanded to see Big Boss. "He's unavailable," Mini Boss snapped. Anger bubbled, but I composed myself, smiling coolly. "This isn't over." His face paled. "Are you threatening the company?" he stammered. "Threats are for the unsure," I replied. "Them. This is a promise. Time will tell." I gathered my things, head high, as whispers followed me out. That weekend, fury turned to strategy. I contacted my lawyer, a sharp woman specializing in labor disputes. Over coffee, I laid it out: the forced IVA, exclusive work, no benefits, classic misclassification. She said, "We'll nail them for wrongful termination and violations." The legal wheels started turning, my promise taking shape. Walking out of that office, the Milan rain mirroring my mood, I felt a mix of betrayal and resolve. No severance, no warning, just discarded like yesterday's espresso. But I wasn't done. That evening, I poured a glass of Chianti and called my lawyer, recounting every detail. "They treated you as an employee, without the protections," she confirmed. "This is textbook exploitation under Italian law." We mapped out the plan: sue for wrongful dismissal, back pay, and penalties for the illegal setup. I spent days combing through my records, emails, chats, invoices proving my exclusive dedication. Screenshots of praise from bosses and clients bolstered my case. Meanwhile, life moved on. I picked up small freelance gigs to stay afloat, but the fire burned. My lawyer sent the initial formal notice, a pay email demanding compensation and outlining violations. We expected pushback, but Big Boss's response was a gift-wrapped blunder. Instead of letting their legal team handle it, he fired off a rambling, furious reply directly to her. Insults flew, calling me ungrateful, disloyal, and worse, personal attacks on my character, even hinting at my attitude toward his team. "Thank you," my lawyer chuckled when forwarding it. "This is harassment gold." It became Exhibit A, evidence of unprofessional conduct. As bureaucracy dragged, Italy's courts moved like molasses. I gathered more: photos of my desk setup, time logs showing fixed hours, even witness statements from former co-workers who jumped ship. The dossier swelled to 200 pages, a meticulously organized beast. Holidays came and went. I celebrated Christmas with family, toasting to impending justice. Their side stone-walled at first, but cracks showed. Mini Boss's girlfriend posted smug office selfies on social media. Oblivious, I stayed silent, letting the process unfold. A year in, we filed the full suit during the festive lull, catching them off guard. Less than a week later, their lawyer rang my attorney, voice tense. "Let's settle, name your price to avoid trial." Victory tasted sweet. We crunched numbers, lost wages, emotional distress, legal fees. I aimed high, a five-figure sum that stung. They folded instantly, no negotiation. The hearing loomed, my nerves steady. On the day, in a stuffy courtroom, the judge reviewed our evidence, nodding approvingly. "Exceptional documentation," she said, congratulating us. Turning to Big Boss, red-faced and fidgeting, she scolded, "Your conduct is appalling. We're tired of your name here." It emerged he'd faced similar suits before, leopards and spots indeed. Settlement signed, check in hand. I walked out freer, vindicated, revenge, served piping hot. The legal battle's early stages were a whirlwind of paperwork and strategy sessions. After the firing, I holed up in my apartment, sifting through digital trails, every email from Big Boss praising my timeliness, every client testimonial. I cataloged them. My lawyer, a no-nonsense advocate with a track record against shady employers, dove in. "We'll claim de facto employment," she explained. "The IVA was a sham. You were entitled to protections." We drafted the initial complaint, citing labor code articles on misclassification and termination notice. Sending it via certified email felt empowering. Then came Big Boss's meltdown reply, a novella of vitriol, laced with slurs like troublesome bitch and accusations of sabotage. He CC'd Mini Boss, who added his 2 cents of condescension. My lawyer printed it immediately. "This screams retaliation." It fueled our fire. As months ticked by, Italian red tape tested my patience. Hearings delayed, responses sluggish. I juggled temp jobs, SEO consulting for small businesses, but the case loomed large. I expanded the evidence, bank statements showing consistent payments, office access logs proving daily presence, chats where Mini Boss assigned mandatory tasks, contradicting freelancer status, photos of team events I was required to attend. Former colleagues provided affidavits detailing the favoritism toward Elena and Sophia. One wrote, "She carried the load while they slacked." The dossier grew, organized into tabs: communications, financials, witnesses. Christmas approached. I filed the mammoth document mid-holidays, a strategic move to pressure them during downtime. Their lawyer's call came swiftly, pleading trial would be messy. "What's your number?" We consulted, calculating 7 months' salary equivalent, plus damages for the illegal setup, an emotional toll. 5 figures it was, a sum that covered my losses, and then some. Acceptance was immediate, no haggling. The hearing was formality, but satisfying. In court, Big Boss avoided my gaze, suit ill-fitting. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, praised our prep. "This is how cases should be built." To him, "Your behavior is disgraceful." Courts, weary of repeat offenders, revelations of prior lawsuits, painted him as a habitual exploiter. Papers signed, I exited with closure. The money helped me launch my own consultancy, thriving without toxic bosses. Elena and Sophia, last I heard, their incompetence caught up, leading to demotions. Mini Boss messaged once, awkwardly congratulating me, ignored. Promise kept. Gathering the evidence became my full-time obsession post-firing. Nights blurred into days as I scoured hard drives and cloud storage. Emails from day one, Big Boss's initial welcome, outlining my daily duties. Chats with Mini Boss assigning fixed shifts. Invoices mirroring a salary. Client praises, "Your SSM strategy is genius." I compiled them chronologically, highlighting patterns. Photos from office, my badge, desk nameplate, proof of integration. My lawyer reviewed batches, nodding solid. Big Boss's rage email was the crown jewel, printed and annotated for insults. We added context, how it violated professional norms. Bureaucracy dragged, a preliminary hearing postponed twice, but I persisted. Temp gigs kept me afloat, writing for ethical firms. Holidays hit. I spent Christmas Eve finalizing the 200-page tome, bound professionally. Filing it then was genius. Offices closed, pressure mounting, their lawyers' urgent outreach. "Settle now." We demanded 5 figures, justified by calculations. Swift agreement. At the hearing, tension crackled. Judge commended, "Thorough work." Scolded Big Boss, "Appalling, tired of you." His history emerged, multiple suits, settlement done, vindication mine. The settlement hearing was the grand finale, a mix of nerves and anticipation. I arrived early, dossier in tow, lawyer by my side. Big Boss slunk in, avoiding eye contact, flanked by his attorney. The courtroom hummed with routine cases, but ours stood out. Judge reviewed silently, then impressive evidence collection. "Congratulations to Big Boss, your conduct, appalling. We're exhausted by your repeated appearances." His prior exploits, similar exploitation cases. We signed, some transferred. Walking out, I felt empowered. Money seeded my new venture. No more exploitation, revenge, perfectly plated. Reflecting now, it's a tale of resilience. The exploitation, firing, legal win, unchanged core, but lessons abound. I thrive independently. Boss's folly, a cautionary story. Leopard spots endure, but justice prevails.